Hello.
Good morning, Roshan.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
Fine, fine, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
And
calling us.
are you right now in Darjeeling?
Yes, yes,
Are you now in Darjeeling?
yes. I'm from Darjeeling, and Priya is working out of Gantok. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm in Darjeeling right now. Yes.
So you're in Kathmandu or?
Darjeeling,
Oh,
Darjeeling.
Darjeeling. Okay, you're in Darjeeling.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
near to Sikkim, right? Okay.
I know. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's from Gangtok, right?
Yeah, she works out of Gantok. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, great, great. Uh, Hello, Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's Andrew?
Andrew, I don't know, ma'am. I'm contacting him right now.
Good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Hello. Yeah. How is Aizol?
I'm not in I right now, ma'am, actually.
Oh, okay. How's your
I'm in
network?
my hometown.
So how's
Okay,
your
so far.
network?
I think it's okay now for now.
Great. Okay. Mr. Roshan, Madam Priya has not yet joined us.
Yeah, I just sent her a word. I just sent her a word saying we are here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, okay. How do I address you, by the way?
Just call me Roshan, please. Yeah. I work
Okay,
with
Roshan. Okay,
I work with
fine.
a small organization, so yeah, quite comfortable with that. Yeah. And you are out of
Zero
Dimapur.
West Himalaya, right?
Yes, Zero Waste Himalaya.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Zero Waste Himalaya is.
Actually, I work in mid.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, please tell. Please tell.
No. So I'm just saying, like, Zero Waste Himalaya is a platform of individuals, organization, government organizations, institutions, civil society. So yeah. So it's a very loosely held platform, and I'm as a organization we are part of that. But I actually work with a organization in Darjeeling called Darjeeling Prerna. But I do spend a lot of our time for waste work out of this.
Which organization you say?
Darjeeling Prerna. DLR Prerna.
Prayer.
Nah. DLR Prerna.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure you're working with organic forum as well, right? Because I think
We,
you've done a lot of
yeah.
work on organic.
Yes, yes, we've done a bit of work on organics also. Yeah.
I think you've taken the initiative.
In the initial days,
of
we did a
things.
lot of work on organic, small farmer organic trainings as well as certification processes. That's where we actually started our work from.
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah.
So right now, are you still involved in organic farming?
My teammates are fully involved in that. So we do have a separate team who does agriculture work. So we do a bit of organic farming, bit of certification processes, but primarily with small farmers, primarily with small farmers. And then we do
Okay.
a permaculture course also. We actually have been running a permaculture course for a very long time, like almost 12, 13 years. I think this year might be a break because of the pandemic. Otherwise, yeah, we have been running it for almost 12, 13 years now, every year. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're out of
Darjeeling,
Dimapur.
the course that you run. Yeah. Actually, my university campus is in Mitsapima, but my residence is in Dimapur.
I see. Yeah. Okay, I think Priya has also joined.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
I can see
Hello,
John's.
Priya. Hello, Priya.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So you have joined us. So I think we can start. How's your network there?
It's okay. I mean, it's holding on for now. You can never be sure.
Yeah. Here also the same. My network is really unstable, so I don't know when I'll go offline, but I think we can start.
Yes, sure.
Hello. 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 Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I think my network is not at all stable today. So at any point of time when I go offline, I request Roshan and Priya to just continue. And my team, my project assistant, Dr. Sintirenla and Mr. Andrew is also here. So they will support me in case my network goes off, then they will carry on with you all, right? So I'll keep joining as and when the network comes. So I just want to inform everyone before starting. And I think it's time now for us to start. So let me just start by welcoming Priya and Roshan to this program. We're very, very delighted to have two of you, one from Darjeeling and one from Gangtok, beautiful hill stations. So welcome to Nagaland through webinar. And
Thank you.
here, I wanted to tell that this is the platform that is, we have a project called STINER, Science and Technology Intervention in Northeast Hill region, which is a project from the Ministry of Donor. And this is a project which is supposed to be running in all the Northeast states. But as of now, it is only Assam and Nagaland that has started, and it's going to extend in all parts of Northeast. So this Steiner is about creating an entrepreneurial atmosphere among the youths in the state. So our basic objective is that. And this time we had a small program we wanted to encourage our young people to know how to do waste management, and then doing something out of that. So we had a small competition and innovative ideas, and today we'll be bringing the person who got the first prize to speak also for about 2 minutes after your speech. So basically we're looking for some people who are very an expert in this waste management, and there Amba from SDFN, also an IM member, he suggested the best two names, two of you who are working with this particular sector. And so we are so delighted to be collaborating with Zero Waste Himalaya and SDFN for this today's program. And also have a resource person like you, like two of you. So for the benefit of the audience or the attendee, I would just like to quickly introduce both of you to the attendee. They are very well-known figure, but since many of our youths may not be, very conversant with this waste management, and also I just want to introduce them. One of our speaker, the panelist is Priya Darshini Shrestha. Shrestha, sorry, I'm so sorry, and works with WWF India as a team leader in Kanchenjunga landscape that works across Sikkim, Darling, for the last 13 years. If I'm wrong somewhere, you can correct me, Priya, later on. WWF is an conservation organization, especially working with biodiversity conservation in collaboration with community as well as the government. She is currently Joint Secretary of IMI, Integrated Mountain Initiative, which is a civil society movement that works in all the 12 Himalayan states. She is also an active member of the Zero Waste Himalaya platform, and she's one of the few people who conceptualized and planned Himalaya cleanup in 12 states, which is now an annual event. So to mention a few, this is about her. And we have another eminent personality, Roshan Rai, and he was a part of the team that facilitated the first organic and fair trade small farmer collective in Darjeeling in 2001, which has been the seminal in the small farmer tea discourse, as well as small farmer organic farming. Actually, organic farming is a very interest for me. So good to have you here, Roshan. This has now evolved into promotion of climate smart agroecological system. And I think they're running the longest permaculture course in India, more than, I think, 14 years, that promotes sustainable design system. He's a core member of the Himalayan Cleanup 2018 and 19, and a resource person for Swachh Bharat in different states of Northeast. And Rai has been a part of the research and action research on issue of management, access, equity, and governance of water and waste in Darjeeling municipality. So I think he has been involved in all, with the government, and we are very happy to have you here. And while you interact, I'm sure you'll be able to tell more about your work. So I will not waste much of the time here and give all the time to both of you. One by one. I think maybe first Priya will say, after that Roshan, and after that we also want to have a session with the attendee. They can put their question in the question answer box, or they can put their question even in the chat box, and when the time is given, the resource person will be able to address your queries and the issues that you raise. So I want to request all the attendee that these are the two best people that we can have in the Northeast for this particular topic, waste management, and I'm sure you all will be quite interested to know a lot more. So take full advantage of their being here in this platform. And once again, thank you, both of you, for sparing your time, and I give all the time to both of you. And as mentioned earlier, my network may go off. Please don't mind, just continue without stopping. Thank you so much. Time is yours.
Thank you, Professor Kali. That was a really long introduction, and we have made a slight switch. I'm going first. Usually Priya goes first, but today I'm going first, and yeah, I hope that's all right. And let me share the screen with everyone. Yep. Can everyone see this? Is my screen being seen to everyone?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, so thank you, Professor, for such a long introduction. Sometimes I wonder how those introductions come about, but I think we've attempted to kind of pull through some of our experiences that we've had and try to present it. And wish we were meeting in better times where we could interact directly and not over an online space, and online spaces do bring about challenges that are there. So yes, Priya and me wear different hats, and one of the things that we do is work with Zero Waste Himalaya, which is a loosely held platform looking at principles of waste management from zero waste idea or zero waste lens. And so what we are trying to do today is to present to you like a overview of zero waste, and then like narrow it down to what can be done at an individual level and what can be done at a community and a policy level. So I'll handle the initial part, and then Priya will take over. And yes, we will definitely be in touch, and then you can take this discussion forward there also. You know, and so I think for us, when we looked at your topic of waste management and sustainable environments, we just wanted to kind of say, do we really live in sustainable environments today? And then I guess if you look at the Earth Overshoot Day data that is there, or this idea of when do we eat into the resources of our generation, of our time in a year, it shows that like from 1971 to 2019, we are pretty much finishing off our budget of data by August, which kind of is frightening, which means we are eating into the future. We are living in a credit card system, and we are eating into the future generation. So we're definitely not leading a sustainable, we don't have a sustainable environment. And to take that product discussion forward and look to quote UNEP, UNEP says, if we continue this form of consumption, then by 2050, we need 3 planets to sustain us as a species, you know, and this consumption has one side of it, and the other side of it is what we are going to discuss today. So for us, I mean, asking these questions are very critical. Is like, waste is part of this consumption cycle, and the question comes, how are we managing our waste? What is the dominant narrative of waste management, and what exactly is sustainable waste management? And within that, what exactly is zero waste? So we will try and go around these ideas today, you know. And so we want to constantly, we always start off with this image that a lot of us has seen in different packaging. And if you haven't seen, that means you're an amazing person, that you're not buying packaged stuff, you know. And this particular image has a huge history of how companies projected this idea and said waste management is about putting stuff into the dustbin. And that's how today cleanliness drives any groups that want to do cleanups will always promote dustbins, you know. And this is what today has been equated to swachhata, or cleanliness. And so from our zero waste lens or a sustainability lens, we question this and say it's actually not really true. This particular image transfers the responsibility of waste management to the consumer, and gives let's go of the duty and of the person producing the waste in the first place. And I'll come back to this later. So it is a big fat lie, because this is what usually happens. Like, you know, a lot of self-help groups, a lot of youth groups, a lot of environmental organizations, students group promote dustbins all across, but dustbins just fill up. And the question that we need to ask from a sustainability point of view is, where does it go? And so this is a picture of where it goes in Darjeeling. And sorry to say, like, this is where we let go of our waste. From the dustbin, it reaches to this point. Gangtok also doesn't do better. It takes it down to a place which is further down the mountain and dumps there. So for us, the basic premise of what we want to do today and talk about is that there is no such thing as a way. when we throw anything away, it must go somewhere. So for us, Annie Leonard from Story of Stuff has been an inspiration constantly, and I would definitely recommend everyone to check her up on YouTube, on online, and see her documentary, which constantly inspires us and takes our journey in zero waste forward. So we think that we've solved the problem, but what we are doing is actually transferring the problem from my life to the dustbin to these landfills. And I'm pretty sure this is a standard story across the Indian Himalaya, you know. And so I think what has this resulted in is that in 2018, they've shown microplastic in tap water, bottled water, salt, rainfall, human excreta, and even in Arctic snow. So this is the situation where we're at. And this is a frightening situation where, because of our mismanagement of waste, thinking transferring our problem from one to the other solves the problem of waste. To the point that there is a WWF report in 2019 which quotes saying an average person would be ingesting approximately like a credit card size worth of microplastics every week. And so today in 2018, WHO kind of talks about we actually do not know the effects of plastics on human health because it's so new, but it needs to be seriously considered and studied upon, you know. So then for us, I guess, how did we actually get into this situation where our tap water, you know, and then sometimes we say mountain tap water is clean, but we have yet to study it. Bottled water, we think it's clean, but it's not. Like even in India, to the top, when the study was done, the top companies, multinational companies, bottled water was tested, including in India, and all of them had microplastic. Now, how did we get to this? And because we have taken waste as a product at the end of it, and we try to manage that. We haven't looked at the entirety of waste. And I think that is a super, super important thing for us to look at the larger picture of the entire cycle of consumption and production. You know, and so I think for us to understand the production systems is extremely important when we are talking about sustainable waste management, because by the time something is created or waste is created, we've already lost the battle. You know, we should start from production systems. So what is an economy, a lean economy? It talks about like taking resources, right? Look at the language that we use, resource extraction, you know, and like, you know, it is like just a linear one-way path to destruction. What does it lead to? Pollution. What does it, how does it manage? How does it make it so easy? Because it externalizes costs. The environmental factors are never considered while pricing the product. And that's why today we have Earth Overshoot Day, which I started earlier saying we are eating into the future, you know. And to take this forward, how do we make it? The design system is so frustratingly frightening, is that there is already a planned obsolescence. That means a product is designed for the dump. Like it is designed in such a way that it will be obsolete quickly. How does it happen? Technical incompatibility. Like all of you must have had this situation where suddenly your printer doesn't work because it is incompatible, or your computer doesn't work because a newer version comes up and so that doesn't work. So this is a design for us to generate waste. It's not a design for you to buy something new. It's actually a design process to get you to buy, constantly get people buying new, which basically means producing waste. So on one hand, we have a design intervention of planned obsolescence. There is the other side, which is the perceived obsolescence. How does that happen? Constantly in fashion. In 1 year, sometimes like a really tight pant might be in fashion, and the next minute, the tight pant becomes baggy, like quarter, long, short, you know. And so it keeps on telling, if you don't have that in you, you're not cool enough. And we forget that in this race to be fashionable, we're actually buying new stuff, which we don't need in the first place. And what we are doing with this is we are actually dumping it into the waste. And for example, phones, almost every 6 months, 7 months, there's an upgradation. So you kind of feel my phone is not good enough. And so even if a functional phone, then you look for the upgraded version. So how does this go about? By clever advertisements. They keep on telling you, oh, this one is better. For example, in India, like Fair and Handsome, like, in a country like India, why should you have Fair and Handsome? Like, it pushes a product that we don't need. So for us in zero waste, I think the understanding of the design flaw for the dump of planned obsolescence and perceived obsolescence is where we are, or why we have reached this place where we are swamped with waste, including in the mountains, And so taking this discussion forward, how do we use it is based upon how we buy. How do we buy? What we buy, and then ultimately why we buy. I mean, like today's language in itself, there are things like retail therapy. If I am sad, I go out and I buy and I'm happy. But what we don't realize is each time we buy, we are creating waste. How are we buying? Are we buying stuff that are good, that will last longer? Or are we buying things that are throwaway, like pens that cannot be even refilled, like pens that are like you cannot even change the inside, and so things like that, And so the question is, how do we buy? Are we buying from vendors like these in our neighborhood? Or are we attracted to this? And as consumers, we are constantly changing our lifestyle pattern. And if you look at it from a waste narrative, what we need to start seeing is the second picture is where our predominant waste comes from. Our first picture, there's hardly any waste. And even if there is waste, either our pigs will eat it or it becomes compost, And so that's important. And then the advertisements, like I said, and that was an American version, but in India, we have constantly, and to the point, like I find this such a fascinating line, right? End of reason sale. So if our constant progression as a human species is figuring out our cognitive reasoning power, like it asks us to be stupid and to go crazy buying, And so I think that's something to think through, because when we talk about waste, we instantly talk about the dustbin. We never talk about the back end of it, whereas constantly we are told to buy, right? So the choice is ours. One hand, we have produce that make waste that can be easily managed. And the other hand, we have produce that just cannot be managed once it's finished and thrown away. So why do we buy? So sometimes we kind of, this whole notion that we are individuals and we have individual rights and we decide for ourselves. But if you look at advertisements, and I use the term of Fair and Handsome, it is a manufactured consent. In a country of tropical nature where a lot of people are brown skinned, you are pushing for a product which makes you white. You're manufacturing consent. And so in zero waste, one of our strong principles is stop buying crap and companies will stop making crap. So I think that's the power of the consumer that we want to portray when we talk about zero waste. And I think that is important when we take this forward. So this is what happens. We extract, we make really lousy stuff, we use it for a short time, and then we dump it into waste. And I'll show you another situation of Darjeeling where the dumping ground is at the fag end of the town, and every now and then the whole dump landfill burns and we breathe this toxic chemicals or toxic fumes of our own waste. So neither are we are not just polluting our downstream, now we are breathing upstream our own toxic waste. No wonder we have such a lot of problems in our health, So, and then so when we talk about waste, there's always, in school, we are constantly talked about recycle, 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 and that's the solution. And I think we just need to bust this myth. Only a fraction amount of waste is recycled. Think through in your own area, right? Recycling is extremely energy intensive. Where exactly in Northeast or any of the mountains take our stuff to be recycled, even if it is possible to recycle it? A lot of plastics are only downcycled and not everything can be recycled. After a point, plastic cannot be recycled anymore. but we are told this thing constantly, that recycling. And we are even sold dreams of how Singapore is the cleanest place, Switzerland is the cleanest place, America, UK, and stuff like that. But I think going to 2017, a very landmark article that came about, which talked about production, use, and fate of all plastic. It showed that till 2015, 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic was created in this planet from around 1912, 1914. Of that, 6.3 billion metric tons just became waste. And of that total, only 9% plastic has ever been recycled, which basically means recycling is a myth. And how did he get about creating this myth? I'll come in the next slide. But I just wanted to end the slide by saying, in the current scenario, which is even more frightening, is that 40% of all plastic goes into making single-use products, which basically means I use it one time for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 25 minutes, and just throw it away. And at the back end, we try to manage this waste when we should be stopping this use or production in the first place, is what real sustainability is in waste management. So we have this notion, like when we see other countries, so-called developed nations, photographs like this as to how they segregate. But in 2007, China refused to take any more trash, and then more countries followed, right? To the point where Indonesia returned 19 containers full of British waste to the UK. And 2017, when China refused to take any more trash, what you realized was the Western nations, in the name of recycling, was packing all their waste and sending it back to China, right? So overnight, a very progressive city like San Francisco, which was considered a really good city for waste management, had tons and tons and tons of waste lying, which they didn't know what to do. And so recycling today, we'll have to rethink. Like I said, only 9% has been recycled. It's not about transferring one's problem from one country to the next. And just to, sorry to tell you also, India is also a recipient of a lot of this waste, which comes to India in the guise of recycling, and it doesn't happen. So what we do need to do in terms of real sustainable waste management is to move towards a circular economy, where we talk about responsible production, where we don't start off by saying consumers must be responsible, but what we start off by saying responsible production and consumption, which is also like our sustainable development goal, you know. And this entire picture of a circular economy is about zero waste, and not when waste is produced. So we sometimes even say zero waste is not producing waste in the first place. And so how do we take it forward? How do we actualize it? Is where Priya takes over. Thank you all for listening to me, and I hand it over to Priya from now. I think Priya will share her own screen.
Thanks, Roshan.
Priya,
Yes.
your video is not on. Priya, we can't see you.
Yeah, okay. Here I am.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yeah. So thanks, Roshan. That was really insightful, even for me, though I have listened to this presentation, I don't know how many times, and even made it myself, but I think that was really insightful, many of the points. So to pick up from where Roshan left, I am then going to be talking about, how do we put all these concepts, all these ideas about zero waste, all the principles into practice? How do we actualize it? So also to make it clear, there is no one solution, to it. And it's multidisciplinary. It's a basket of options that we need to look at. It has to be integrated into everything else, and also to have like a landscape approach. So just quickly to move forward. as Roshan mentioned, zero waste means we don't look only at the waste that is generated, but we look at the entire system of the production. So it looks at how we prevent resource extraction, reducing the amount of materials to be sent to the landfill or incinerator, to reduce pollution also from the production, transportation, and the disposal of materials. So it's a whole gamut of things that zero waste actually looks at, which is why the title of this presentation also was Zero Waste, Beyond Reduce, Recycle, and Reuse, because these three R's, I think, have been sort of talked about as the solutions for waste management, but zero waste actually means going beyond the three R's. So if we look at this really small image, which but really something that packs a whole lot of things into it, and it's borrowed actually from the hierarchy of needs, if people are aware of that principle. It talks about how can we reduce our consumption at an individual level, but also take it forward to sort of beyond the individual as well. So the first thing is to use what we have. We can borrow, we can swap, we can thrift, we can make it ourselves, and then only at the end of it do we go out and buy something new. So that's basically what this triangle is trying to tell us. And then if we look at the waste management hierarchy that zero waste talks about, is basically captured in this inverted triangle. And if we go right at the bottom of it, the zero waste principle basically talks about how do we minimize what we are sending to our landfills currently. Or by landfills, it could be even like dumping sites, because there are no proper landfill sites in any of our states so far. But whatever we are sending to our dumping yards, how can we reduce that volume? That is basically the end goal for zero waste. And then a whole lot of steps then need to happen for that for that goal to be achieved. So it starts, if you look at the base of the triangle, it starts by waste prevention, where then Roshan mentioned about how producers actually need to be more responsible, because what has happened so far is the responsibility has been transferred to us as consumers to either put it in the bin or either recycle it, or the consumer has been actually given the responsibility, whereas producers actually make money out of it, buy the truckloads, and just absolve themselves of any responsibility. So waste prevention, actually, where producers take responsibility, is the key thing here, and there needs to be enough policy mechanisms to put this in place. Then the second thing is on waste reduction, which is more at a community, at an individual level, where we do consumer awareness, where people, where we buy less, all these concepts of reuse, repairing, repurpose, secondhand, thrifting, all those concepts are there. And then we talk about recovery or segregation, where we segregate our waste, we recycle whatever is possible, compost or degradables, and say no to burning of waste. So these are some of the steps that are there in the waste management hierarchy. And then how do we make it possible? So there is the first step, which is the immediate action. And immediate action, we don't need to wait for anyone else. It is up to you, up to me, to see how can I reduce my waste footprint, how can I live a low waste lifestyle. I don't need to wait for anyone to give me any instructions. I just need to begin. So I just need to I just commit to waste reduction. I segregate my waste and I compost. I look at what is in my waste and what is the switch that I can make to a sustainable option. We will discuss that a little bit more in detail. If we take that forward, then there's a medium term activity or a goal, which then happens at a group or a community or an institution level, where we improve the institution's waste systems and practices. We have our own bylaws. Suppose there's a college, then the college can have their own rules and regulations on how they manage, how they segregate. And as a collective, we also need to start demanding for better options, for reusable options instead of single-use options. So the collective action is what needs to happen on the medium term. And if you look at a longer term level, then this is where the government policies come in, and then where we talk about again the producer responsibility. So we have really great set of waste management rules in the form of solid waste management rules of 2016, plastic waste management rules of 2016. We really need to look at how are these policies being implemented at the ground level. What are the gaps and challenges, and how can these, how can we push for implementation of these policies at our state level? So these are some of the things that we can look at the longer term, looking at policies and looking at producer responsibility, which will ultimately lead to closing the tap on single-use plastics. So these are sort of in a glance how we make zero waste possible. And then if we are to sort of talk about at an individual level, where do I begin? Then if this sort of shows what are the most commonly used single-use plastic items in our lives currently, like your bottled water, your plastic bag, this other colorful bag, which is actually another form of plastic only, but this is what is being used mostly in many of our states. Then there's the disposable spoons, the cups, the straws, the new thing, which is again these black garbage bags, plastic garbage bags, which is also single use, the styrofoam, and then there's the thing called as microbeads, which is found in shampoo, which is nothing but again plastic. And then you find all sorts of extra packaging which the companies use. So if we are to look at some of how do we eradicate this single-use plastic tsunami, all these items which is ending up in the dump yard, these are some of the facts that are that are out there. 1 million plastic bottles are bought around the world every minute. This is a photo from Gangtok's dumping site, where they do try to sort of retrieve from the the dumping yard a bit of the plastics. But if you look at the stats, is not at all great. If you look at plastic bags, 500 billion plastic bags are used worldwide, more than 1 million every minute, and it's used for only 25 minutes, and then we have to throw it. So it just makes no sense actually to keep using these single-use items. And then this is what I was talking about, the PP bag, which is also plastic, just in a new avatar. So these are things that we need to be careful about. So how can we do away with these single use? It's very easy. We've done it all our lives, before the single use started flooding our markets. We can just bring our own or do without our own water bottle, our own bags, cups, mugs, spoons, washable options. There's plenty of sustainable, reusable options that we can go for. So even at a college level, it makes a lot of sense to look at what the canteens are using to give away the food, and immediately put an end to it. So these are very simple steps that we can take. And demand for reusable options. If there is a restaurant that is serving plastic spoons, we can always demand. And if they don't switch, or if they don't convert, we should not give our money to such places. We go to a place, eat from a shop which follows practices. So that's our thing that we can do. And then the other thing that there is now, which we see more and more of, is everything that used to be found loose, it is now coming in packets, and even tiny sachet packets, So again, we are blessed that in all our places, in all our localities, we would have people, groceries, who still give us goods unpackaged or in like a paper bag. So those options we can easily choose. And what happens also is we support the local economy. And then the other thing is, all these packaged goods are high in sugar and salt. And then the kind of plastic that is used to package these items is multi-layered plastic packaging, for which there is no solution. No kabadiwala is going to take that. So it's just it has no choice but then to end up in the dump yard again. So we can choose recyclable, reusable options, and we refuse the tiny sachets, special shampoos and conditioners. I don't know what not. Even the pickles, they are now putting it in tiny sachets. So instead of buying these, if we do have to buy plastic, at least let's buy plastic in bulk, which are at least, these have more chances of being recycled. So these are again small choices that we can make. And if we look at our personal care products, that is where most of the plastic actually is being bombarded. And again, these personal care products, we use it very close to our skin. So everything has plastic in it, from our lipstick to, everything, eyeshadow, whatever we use. So how do we switch to pollution-free personal care? Again, is another idea that we can think of. There's a lot of DIY videos on the internet that we can look for. And, there are bamboo toothbrushes to replace the plastic toothbrush. There are many pollution-free options, and toothpaste also you can make your own. So, this is something that again we can choose as individuals. Then sustainable menstruation is another thing that we focus on a lot, because one sanitary pad that we use is equal to 4 plastic bags approximately, is what they are saying. And not just that, but the chemicals that are there in the plastic pads that we are using, the disposable pads that we are using, is not talked about at all. And companies don't even have to say what is actually going into the pads. They don't even have to declare it. So there's a big gap there. So all these toxic chemicals actually women are using very close to their bodies, and it's really toxic and will have consequences. And easily here we have options of cloth pads, or we can switch to the menstrual cup, which are really great sustainable options to look at. Same thing with the diapers for kids, same sort of chemicals, same sort of bleach to make it white. And again, it has to be used and thrown. The amount of diapers and sanitary pads that are lying in our dump yards is really not a joke. So these are things that we can look at again at our own, at an individual level. And for biodegradable waste, if we do proper source segregation, composting is the best way. I mean, if feed, that is in fact one of the things to look at. But if we don't have such linkages, easily composting at home, or at home level, is a great solution to look at. And then growing your own food is picking up, especially now. I think in the lockdown situation, many people actually have been going back to growing food, and there's just so much that can be done here, and with your own compost as well. And this also actually looks at how can we celebrate, conserve our food culture, not look at the junk food that is coming packaged in plastic, but really buy local and be smart about it, climate smart about it, which is fresh, which is clean, green, and it supports our local farmers also at the same time, So there is, I mean, this is a no-brainer actually, if you look at it. And now if you see the COVID situation also, and how zero waste actually has to be the new normal, because the amount of, again, the disposable masks that are being used and disposed, it's just huge amounts of medical waste being disposed. So easily here also we can say yes to reusable masks, which a lot of self-help groups actually are making. So if I am to sort of now come to the medium term and the long term, which we talked about as the next steps, there are already a bit of good initiatives that have been happening. I only have examples here from Sikkim and Darjeeling. In Sikkim, there is a ban on bottled water in government functions. There is also a ban on styrofoam being used in restaurants and eateries. The plastic bag ban is quite an old one for Sikkim. But I'm sure there are also other northeastern states that have banned bottled water in government functions. Styrofoam, I'm not sure of. But these are some of the policy work that's ongoing. In North Sikkim, we have a village which is a highly tourist village, which has actually banned the entry of plastic water bottles into the village, for all tourists. So that was a big step looking at reduction efforts. There are schools in Darjeeling where there is a no junk food policy. I believe Nagaland actually has also a policy of no junk food. We would love to hear from you on what is the status of that in the state, because we read a notification somewhere about Nagaland having a no junk food policy for schools. There are monasteries, in Sikkim and Darjeeling where they're saying no to plastic offerings, because a lot of offerings that people are bringing actually are again plastic packaged. So monasteries themselves are saying, please bring fruits or please bring homemade items. Do not offer plastic to the gods, So that's what they're saying. There are many restaurants also giving up on disposables. So there are small examples of those happening. For segregation at source, Gangtok has a bit of work that has been ongoing, though we are not really 100% there, but there is a lot of, there are 2-3 wards which are sort of attempting segregation at source to some extent with segregated collection. So these are just some of the ideas, some of the initiatives that are already ongoing. And for resource recovery in West Sikkim, which goes into the Kanchenjunga National Park, which has a very popular trekking route. They also have a system where they check in how much plastic is being taken into the national park, and when the tourists return, there is a checkout system where they have to declare that whatever they had taken in has been brought back. So that's a really good initiative that our friends in KCC West Sikkim have been undertaking. And there are also good initiatives of composting, at monastery level, at institutional level, at village level, being taken by other organizations that could be looked at. So I quickly actually added this one slide when Professor talked about entrepreneurship and what is the opportunities for youth engagement. So this was in Roshan's presentation that zero waste talks about not just take, make, use, and dispose, but from the use, how can you sort of bring back items, through reuse, repair, recycle, return, so that it's more circular and it's not linear. So there's just so many things that youth can actually look at as enterprise and support the zero waste movement. So there's this whole thing on product design to have more sustainable and reusable options as a material choice. For instance, the bamboo toothbrush is a great example of how we can do away with plastic toothbrush. Likewise, there's the shampoo bar, which actually just does away with the whole shampoo packaging, and products that have lifelong warranties. These are really good examples of how we can design products in a better way, sustainable way. Then there are also services that are that can be provided to support zero waste movements. So there are services for composting, for gardening, for recycling initiatives, for utensil hire. So there are so many of these examples that are already ongoing and being really successfully carried out in other places, which would also, is also like great opportunities for youth engagement. And then at a knowledge level, giving expertise for organizing zero waste events, training of peer educators, etc. These are some of the broad things that youth could be engaged in to sort of take forward the zero waste movement. And to sort of conclude my presentation, I also want to sort of reiterate what Roshan was talking about in saying that we are all consumers, and what we have actually is of our choice, and if it is our money, then we are in that position to really choose options which are good for us, not only for the environment, not only from the zero waste perspective, but also for our own health also, because more and more we have realized that plastics is everywhere and it does have a repercussion on our health. So having that power of choice as individuals, we can easily sort of ban companies that pollute at our own level, and also look at the waste that we are generating ourselves and lower our individual waste footprints as well. So we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. What we need is millions of people doing it imperfectly. And this was said by a really good, another zero waste person that we follow, admire, and follow. So yeah, so that's the last slide. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Roshan and Priya, for this wonderful presentation. And we will be having an interaction time. But before that, we had actually a small competition on the waste management. And so we have selected the best one. So I want to give my project assistant, Dr. Sintrenla, to just take a few minutes to announce the first prize winner. And then I think she'll take her time, just about 5 minutes. And after that, we get back to the interaction. A lot of questions are there, and we would like to hear from both of you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this time. A very good afternoon to you all. So finally, today we are going to officially declare the names of the 3 winners for an online competition that was organized by our center, Steiner, during this lockdown period, specifically for the grassroots levels and school students. And there were participants from all over the state sharing with us their the creative ideas. However, based on our selection criteria of novelty, creativity, and utility, we have selected 3 best to be called the winners of this competition. So without further ado, I would like to read out their names to all of you. So in the third place, let me start from the third place. So in the third place, we have Mr. Vibito Chisi, a student and an aspiring entrepreneur from Dimapur district on his work West Pepper Costumes. In the second place, we have Ms. Tushimungla Lungkumer, also a student and an aspiring entrepreneur from Dimapur district on her work Mini Irrigation Pump from Miniatures. And in the first place, we have Mr. Rocco Biko Sabino. He loves to be called himself as a farmer, and he is from Kohima, and he has bagged the first place on his work environmentally friendly way of waste management. So a big congratulations to all the 3 of you. And for information, the winners will be presented a cash prize of rupees 5,000, 3,000, and 2,000 respectively, along with a citation each. So yes, that is all about the competition. Now I give time to Mr. Rocco to say a few words on behalf of the winners.
Lawrence? Hello, Lawrence?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can we focus on the winner? Just
Yes,
for 2
ma'am.
minutes. Let him speak. Is there something wrong? Network problem?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
I think he need to unmute his audio.
What happened? I request you to just say just for 2 minutes. Can we request you? Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, it's a big opportunity to be part of this program on waste management for a sustainable environment. I, on behalf of the winners of the competition on being creative and local waste products, will share a few words. Well, I think my project in the competition was exactly that of today's topic, that is waste management for sustainable environment. In fact, I think I would insist that my project has both, environmentally and economically sustainability. I mean, so the concept was actually on how to convert the biodegradable waste into useful products by making use of bacteria. I call it IMO, that is indigenous microorganism. The IMO decomposes biodegradable waste within a period of a short span of 15 to 20 days. The end product is an organic manure. The more all those green emitted by biodegradable waste are trapped in the unseen action of the when we use the manure, I feel and I believe they are finally sequestered into their natural state. The technology which we adopt, we should call it as anaerobic fermentation, because while in the process of decomposing in the waste tank, don't allow oxygen to get into the waste tank, and then the bacteria is sprinkled into the tank, and the materials inside are decomposed. I would like to speak on the utility of the method or the technology also. As far as conversion of waste into manure is concerned, the concept and the technology has immense benefit both for small users and big users. A small farmer can produce his own organic manure instead of spending money on the chemical fertilizers or burning his waste or throwing his waste. He can convert it into organic manure by this simple technology. A big, likewise, a big urban municipalities also can convert their waste, of course, only the biodegradable waste into manure. So here, other uses and application of this is that the bacteria, which I'm calling it as green brand, it can be used as a decomposer of biomass in an environmentally friendly way. Then cleaning, stagnant water bodies or enriching the fishery ponds with nutrients. Then, removing smells in farms and removing smells of septic tanks, and even increasing the life of septic tank. Here, the wonderful thing is that because of the action of the bacteria, I believe all those gases, unwanted gases, are trapped, and I believe they are finally sequestered. Now, in the conclusion, I want to highlight three things here associated with my project. That is, it has a potential to generate employment. Secondly, it has it can surely lead to agricultural productivity, and most importantly, of course, it is the managing the biodegradable waste I believe in the most environmentally friendly manner. Thank you so much, and I look forward to to see good things happening out of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, and we will the whole process of your work we would like to share with our resource persons, especially our panelists. And today we also have with us Dr. Nitin Maria, who is a scientist and a coordinator of Northeast from National Innovation Foundation. Actually, we have been trying to work together, and so whichever the winner, we were thinking of letting them take it to the larger platform. So they have promised that they will be taking it to the larger platform, and so today they are here to say a few words. So if he's ready, I would like to give him a few minutes to give a remark. Lawrence, is he here? Dr. Nitin Maria? Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Professor Seman. Thank you so much. It was really very nice to listen to Roshan and Priyadarshini. The presentation was very informative and engaging. And I also take this opportunity to congratulate all the 3 award winners, Mr. Savino, Toshimugla, and Vipito. So that was really nice. First, let me talk about the presentation. That was really nice. And I just wanted to add, while it is very important that we as individual have to make an effort rather than waiting for say, the government to take some certain steps. I think in our traditional societies, we had this concept of common property resources. I think we need to reinvent that concept in the modern context also, because uh, unless we do that, we are sharing everything from air, water, resources, plants, everything. We are sharing everything. So we need to somehow uh, reinvent, remodel this concept of common property modern context, in urban context, more so for the mountainous regions because the ecosystem is very delicate. Now, the second thing, Mr. Savino, I went through his submission. I think that is something which is very interesting. Because when we are talking about doubling the income of farmers by 2022, so one way is to buy increase their income, the other way is to buy reducing their input cost. So the kind of process that he has detailed, it becomes easy for a farmer or a common person to use the resources which are available with them and produce their own manure and then reduce the dependence on fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides. So that was something very interesting. And I'm sure when we come to Nagaland, we organize some things called Farmers Field Schools, where we are talking to farmers and telling them how to sustainably use the resources which are available at their disposal in their neighborhood to produce such things and reduce their dependence on chemical pesticides and fertilizers and other things. So I think his experience and his knowledge would be very helpful in propagating this message to farmers, not only in Nagaland but other places where we organize such field schools. So I'll just take one more minute before you can start with the question answer to tell so many participants who are here about National Innovation Foundation. I'm not sure if all of you are aware of it. So we are an autonomous body of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and we are into the promotion of innovations of common people who do not have access to much education, people who are in the informal sector. We try to identify their technological innovations and then scale up with the help of experts. We provide fund for validation, value addition, and business development, entrepreneurship development. So if any innovator is there, we are ready to support with them. And very recently, last year only, we have started, we along with the Steiner team, we are trying to do something, and hopefully in the years to come, we will build our partnership very sustainably, I must say. Thank you so much. With these few words, I just conclude.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nitin, for giving your time and also for future works together. We hope that we will work with you. It's such an encouragement that you have come to this platform as well. And I'm sure that there are a lot of queries also about like how to work together in this waste management, and we have the right people here, Roshan and Priya, and you are there. And then some of the participants here, they have some very interesting questions. I've already sent it to Roshan and Priya as well, and I would like to now request them to take these questions, and I think some of them may be able to interact directly. We have Madam Tangi Manan, who is actually working in this sector, and I think she has a very interesting question. I don't know if she's still around. She would like to ask herself, or the question has been already forwarded to our panelists, so if they want to answer directly. We also have a very interesting question from Dr. Andrew Ahoto, so if he would like to say it himself, time will be given. Otherwise, I think our panelists will answer. So I give time to our panelists, Roshan and Priya, to kindly respond to them. Though Roshan has, I think, responded on the chat box, but then I was thinking maybe if he shares, then a lot of people will benefit from the response that you give. So I would like to request both of you.
Do you want to start, Priya?
Go ahead, Roshan.
I don't know which one. Shall we start off with the bioplastics and
Okay.
I think that's a good one to begin with. Yeah.
yeah, I think we constantly get this question wherever we go is like, I think we start off, let me start off by saying we as a human species seem to rest our solutions on technology a lot, you know, and we forget human behavior. So somewhere down the line, this as single-use plastic bans came in, this notion of bioplastics started coming in. So I guess my quick point is, one is bioplastics in the truest sense is not available so easily. It's expensive and it diverts like food crops in production of bioplastic, which if you look at it, we didn't actually needed the single-use plastic bags. So that was one thing I wanted to mention. Priya, do you want to add any more to that?
Yeah, also, I think this whole thing about compostable bags, you know, one is the bioplastics, which is made out of food products, and the other one is the compostable plastics also, which actually is nothing but just plastic, which is added with some other chemicals, which basically enhance or increases the rate of you know, how quickly the plastic is able to disintegrate. That's the only thing about the compostable plastics. So actually it's not degradable as such, you know. So again, they say it's eco-friendly, they will say it's green plastic, and you know, they'll use a lot of these green sounding names for these plastics, but we have to be really careful to really understand what
Yeah, I think so. Are we just going on ahead, Professor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like Priya said, I think what might be interesting to add on to straight is this question about Dr. Andrew asking, like, is it sensible to kind of like, is sensible use and proper use of plastic better than using paper and cotton? I guess we go back to the original question of, do we need to use plastic bags if we are going to throw it straight away? And then I guess if you look at one-on-one, what we are failing to recognize is that there is a huge subsidy on extraction and making of plastic, and the same amount of subsidy is not available for, like, let's say a cotton bag. True cotton bag, cotton in itself has a lot of problems with bt cotton, pesticide use, water usage. But I think bottom line for me is that one is, from a purely waste management perspective, cotton will disintegrate. The second part of it is, cotton bags you will use it many times. You will not throw away a cotton bag the same way that you would throw away a plastic bag. So I think I go back to saying, yeah, we need to look at it a bit deeper, because plastic, there is no solution in terms of waste management, whereas in paper and cotton, it is there. True, they are also destructive in nature, but if you want me to balance these two, I don't think it can, for me, balances out. And I guess like Priya can add on to that. But Dr. Andrew has also asked this thing about fashion also. So maybe Priya, you can add on more on this.
Yeah, I mean, if we just look at you know, in terms of how water intensive and all that cotton is, and then but then not factor in how damaging plastic is ultimately, you know, all everything that it does after it's discarded into the environment, you know, including like our water sources, soil pollution, all that is not factored in, then definitely you cannot be, you know, these two things are also for me not really, I would not also weigh these two together. It would not balance out for me as well. But definitely in terms of fashion, I think that has been one of the least talked about sources of pollution, but actually the most polluting. It is the fashion industry is the second most polluting industry, second only to oil in fact, and it is not really talked about as often, neither from the production side of it, but also from the waste perspective. But more and more, if we look at what is ending up in our dumping yards and in our landfill sites and what is blocking our drains, you will see that it is pieces of clothing, and there is just so much of plastic that is going into making our clothes, that again, that is not really talked about, and but needs to be really thought through and really made more made common knowledge actually for more people as to the amount of plastic that goes into making our clothes. But beyond the material use, why we also talk about fashion is also this whole thing about how the fashion industry is basically asking the question of who made my clothes. That's the question that's being asked. Under what conditions were these clothes made? So the human angle of who actually is making our clothes is also something which needs to be talked about, and which we try to do also as part of our zero waste movement. Yeah, Roshan, you can add to that.
Yeah, I think you've added enough. Maybe you can jump into the electronic waste question.
What's the question? Yeah, so as I was mentioning, in 2016, there has been like about 6 rules that have come out regarding waste management. There is the solid waste management, the plastic waste management rules of 2016, and there is a separate e-waste management rules also of 2016, which really sort of breaks down what needs to happen. It is just that it's not being implemented as it should have been. But there is a whole lot of things that are included into the e-waste, which again starts by proper segregation, understanding of then who are the vendors who deal with e-waste and where should that e-waste ultimately end up. All those things are actually broken down in the rules. But it's just that there is very little awareness about the rules, and even less implementation of those rules. But just to say that there is really good policy existing already.
Yes, and I guess to add on to that, the e-waste rules, the electronic waste rules of 2016 is one of the strongest waste rules which talks about extended producer responsibility. And as a concept in waste management, the producer needs to be responsible at the end of the life of the product also. And in electronic waste in India, the rules clearly outline the companies must take back or make provisions to take back their waste. So if you actually like some of the companies, if you go to their websites, there will be a section where they will say you can send back the products to us. But I think what Priya says, one is we are not aware of it. And secondly, to add on to that, we are not demanding of these companies to take back our waste. For example, if I'm to buy a new computer, I can actually demand the company to take back my old computer and give me a new one. But I think that's something that in terms of various levels, but equally as consumers, we haven't made demand. But so if you look at extended producer responsibility, the e-waste rules 2016 highlights this very strongly. Yeah, so actually just to add on, so there is also a lot of global work on this going on, because I think from like Priya was saying, demanding worker rights be made, disclosing where your product materials are coming from. Is it child's, are you using child labor? Are your extraction processes safe? Things like that. So I think like, yeah, there are. And so just to talk about it, there's one particular phone which is not available in India. It's called Fair Phone, which basically starts off by saying all things of resources to make the phone is extracted fairly, but it also allows you to repair the phone. So I think these are demands and these are movements that allow people to do it. So yeah, so this particular phone you can actually repair, which is very different from what we are used to in India. Once we finish off with a phone, there's no way we can repair it, like more and more. So, but these movements are going on. Yeah, I think Is there any other question that is there? I can't really.
Professor,
There was
if-
one question.
I think there is something from her only, no, Professor? You are saying that you cannot find better alternatives to single-use plastics during home delivery.
Yeah, I did see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that also comes down to a bit of demand also from consumers, because here also I tried with, of course, I mean, it could be completely different situations also for you there. But here also during the lockdown, I had to have like 2 home deliveries done. And, you know, from the list of things, I was very happy to see that there were at least like some things that could be unpackaged, you know. So I asked them, can you give me unpackaged, you know, especially like the rice and whatever could come in unpackaged form. And they were happy to sort of agree to my demand, you know. So, but I guess I was just lucky that way. Uh, so I guess it's also like how, I mean, if there are enough of us demanding that we don't want packaged, but kindly if you can do unpackaged provisions for us, if there's enough of us demanding for that, I'm sure we would be able to sort of get them to switch as well.
For example, for us in the office, when we have team meetings, I mean, that was before the lockdown, we only buy get our lunch delivered from a small restaurant because they have decided that they will not send in single-use plastic. They have steel and aluminum containers, you know. So I guess that's how, like, you know, livelihoods also gets attached. So zero waste is supporting livelihoods. So we've chosen this restaurant over anyone else, you know. Yeah, I guess so. That's there. I think we had one more question about coming together and creating platforms, right? Priya, do you want to kind of take that on?
I haven't seen that, sorry, Roshan. But there is another follow-up on the fashion thing.
Yeah, do you want to add on to that, please?
Yes, Jaita is asking how to reduce waste. So I think the mantra for reducing waste, any kind of waste, but especially fashion waste, actually is to not buy. You know, is to not go blindly for whatever these clever advertisements are telling us, whatever Priyanka Chopra or whoever is trying to sell us. You know, is not to just not follow those blindly. You know, just be aware of where is it coming from, what has gone into making this, you know, and where will it end up ultimately. Do I really need it, you know?
How long will it last?
How long will it last? You know, these are questions that we need to ask for almost everything actually, you know. So but especially for fashion, I think is even more pertinent these days, because that is something that they are pushing at us more and more. You know, this creating this demand, and you know, this need to have new things like retail therapy, which Roshan was talking about. It hasn't happened in a day, you know. They've really done this like through years and years of clever advertisement. And for instance, you know, the whole thing on about Coca-Cola, I can give one example of Coca-Cola and how cleverly they advertised it was by showing how Coca-Cola means friendship, how having Coca-Cola means happiness, you know. And very cleverly, you know, and they pay like billions of, you know, dollars to come up with these clever ads, which we don't even realize how deeply it impacts us, but you know, but makes us just want to go and blindly buy it and have it for ourselves, you know. So just I think to be aware of the bigger picture and not be blown away just by clever ads, I think is where we need to begin. Yeah.
Just to add on to Priya, if you look at fashion, like, you know, traditionally fashion would have a few seasons, but now, like, the year is broken into micro seasons, and we kind of think of it from a fashionable trend. But if you flip it, it's actually asking us to buy more for all these micro seasons. You know, suddenly this micro season in the next micro season is no longer in fashion. So if you look at the back end of fashion industry, is actually making us buy more, and buying more means wasting more, you know. And so in that sense, like, yeah, it's clothes are also becoming single use that way. So buying strong and buying lasting is super important. And I guess this is a growing movement, and you can actually go and look at brands which actually give you lifetime warranties and allow you to send it back for repair and things like that, you know. And I think that's something to kind of start thinking through. So the
Yeah, also,
Greenpeace report on fast fashion is really great. Yeah, sorry. Great.
no, it's okay. No, I just wanted to share that we recently, in one of our peer educators workshop, we also did like a quick clothes swap, you know, because we do love wearing new stuff, you know, sometimes. But then doesn't mean that the new has to come from the store, you know. The new could be coming from somebody who doesn't want it anymore, you know. So we had organized like a clothes swap within the participants, and everybody was asked to bring like something that they were discarding and not wearing anymore, and we put it up and we could just exchange. So for me, I got a new top, you know, but it was new for me, you know, but it was still like not new, it was still secondhand. So those are things that we can actually practice at our own levels also, you know, at the college, between friends. Yeah. What's the other question, Roshan?
I've forwarded it on your WhatsApp, but I can start about it, you know. And so I think for me, this notion about coming together, I don't think we can say it any stronger than that. Like, you know, individually, we have to start individually, but I think collective action is the only way forward. And to kind of create networks, to create forums, to create lobbying groups, to create support groups, even like what Priya just said, swapping groups are a great idea. Like in a college, like a group of students demand that our canteen is single-use plastic free. So I think, like, yeah, forums are important, but I think forums also need to be bound by principles and like, you know, policy, and like look at why we are doing it. So I think if you look at the zero waste movement in itself, so there is zero waste Himalaya, which is part of like a loosely held network of, like, you know, zero waste. There are zero waste UK, zero waste European Union. So we draw a lot of inspiration from zero waste Europe and, like, you know, that kind of thing. And so I think every platforms are really important for sure. But also to recognize that we've kind of kept this platform very loosely held, because like, yeah, you don't want to be bogged down in bureaucracy also, you know. But yeah, I think you cannot not take away from the role of strong networks and platforms. For example, if you look at what Priya was mentioning about microbeads in cosmetic and like, you know, hygiene products, like, you know, so microbeads. So Johnson and Johnson in Europe do not use microbeads, but Johnson and Johnson in India still brings in microbeads, only because, like, you know, solidarity and advocacy groups lobbied for it, whereas in India we haven't been able to do that. So yeah, so I think yeah, totally for like creating platforms, not just of creating power bases and demand, but also sharing good practices with each other and supporting each other. Yeah, Priya, did you see that question? You want to add anything to that, please?
No, I think you've covered it. Yeah.
Okay. I think whatever Roshan has said, I think about coming together because we had this program, and I think this can be just an initiative that we have started, and with two of you, and I mean the organization that are involved today in this hosting this program, and also with people who are participating, who are so eager to be, you know, to in this kind of activities. I think we all can come together, and yeah, I think we should have more of such programs, and I think this can be just a starting. I feel, and on the basis of this starting on this World Environment Day, and on the topic on a very important theme, waste management, I think we should work together, and with people like you, I'm sure we can take these things ahead. And Madam Tangi, she's also working on this aspect, and I think if all of us come together, and I think it will make a very big impact. and you know, a lot of informations from both of you. We want to work on it. It's quite scary sometimes, but a lot of informations we have got from you. Before you give your last remark, we have some time, and I just want to request my project assistant, Mr. Andrew, to say a few closing remarks from our organizers. And after that, I would request Roshan and Priya, if you have just one line word for the participants.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Roshanji, Priya, and Dr. Akali. It's been great to be here and to be amongst you all and to discuss about waste management, about environment is great. Just to give a small insight about myself, I was in Darjeeling in North Point, St. Joseph's, and I do have relatives in Darjeeling and as well as in Sikkim. So it is great, you know, like it's like one family. I feel good. Just the other day, actually, in the month of January, actually, we scaled up to Mount Everest, Kalapathar, and it was one of the biggest fashion show, about 18 top models from across the globe. And it wasn't fashion, but it sounds quite weird. You may be saying that why fashion? Because that is the, I mean, we had gone for climate change, actually. We had main cause was for the climate change. But then the fashion industry as such, they are the most polluting industry, you could say, if you look at it. But we did make a mind shift over there. And that was the climate change. We did it is not because of any other. We tried to use the biodegradable clothes. Even the dyes were natural dyes and everything, no chemicals involved. Even the soapless bath or the waterless shampoos and all that we use. So the entire journey was we transformed everything is that we did not use anything that is got to do with chemicals. And even my youngest son of 12 years also, he scaled up and then we got a Guinness Book of World Record. So it was a good achievement. And then we, on the way, we had to pick up all the garbages and bring down everything, what we had taken. So the carbon footprint has been like, we leave it to the minimal. So that is how we did. And there was an effort. And I know that, and everybody follows the set rules. I think the world can be a beautiful place. So what actually I was saying earlier about my question was regarding the plastic. Yes, it is said that one plastic is equivalent to 15 cotton bags. Yes, we do understand that plastic is not very good, but if at all used sensibly, sometime I guess we need to understand how sensible we are using it. And then if you use sensibly, I think sometime cutting down of trees and depleting of the soil and chemicals and fertilizers and all that can be stopped. But it's not a thumb rule, I would say that. But the most important thing I would like to say out here is that if policy can be changed, if all of us, environmentalists or entrepreneurs or any one of us, if we could demand to the government, be it state government or be it the central government, if we all can come together and fight together and say that let us stop this or let us have a policy change, I think then it's going to have a bigger impact. Yes, all of us are in our own small ways, we are trying to contribute. But I think that is not enough because we have billions of people out here. So if government can change a policy, I think that's the rule. Like in Singapore, you're not allowed to litter. You're not even supposed to chew a gum. So imagine. So that is the law and the rule, and it follows. So if India can really want to revamp overnight, I think the policies of government need to change. And if that is done, I think people will follow suit. And many states, I would say that hats off to Sikkim, you're doing very well. I would say that the government is really proactive and they're doing many aspects. And also Mizoram, also they're very disciplined. As such, Northeast has been a breathing lung for the whole of the India because it's full of flora and fauna and very greenery. So at least actually we are contributing a lot to the environment actually, but we have not been given any importance in that aspect. But yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ahoto, for this comment. And now I think a quick closing remark from Roshan and Priya, and after that I give time to my project assistant to just wind up.
Go first, Roshan.
I guess
a quick one-liner. Yeah.
I guess just start your zero waste journey and just stay in solidarity and demand also. Zero waste is about starting your life and demanding also. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. From me, I just want to remember that today it's World Environment Day and the theme is it's time for nature. couldn't have had a better theme than this, especially during the situation that we are in currently right now with the pandemic and whatnot. And really need to start rethinking on how we've lived, our lives, and how we can now make those changes. Because while Roshan is saying that we need to demand, but I think nature is also demanding of us, of all the changes that we need to bring into our lives. So that's, and I mean, today is a great day to sort of remember that and take it forward, that it is indeed like time for nature. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And now to wind up, may I tell my project assistant, Mr. Andrew? Andrew?
Andrew is frozen.
This is another Andrew, our project assistant, yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, can you?
Yeah, but we can't see you.
My network is
Hello?
working now.
Okay, then let me just...
Andrew, if you can switch off your video, it might work, the audio might work.
Okay, yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, thank you, Priyadarshini tip. I'd like to thank our keynote speakers, especially Priyadarshini and Roshan sir. Thank you for giving us time to be with us for this program. And I'd also like to convey my sincere thanks to all participants from all over the country. And your
I think his network is not permitting him, so I'll just do the closing remark. But there was one more person who raised hand. If that person wants to still ask, I don't know. We are running out of time, but maybe 1 minute to that person who raised hand. Lawrence, can you focus? Hello. Lawrence?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you focus on the one who raised hand just now?
Yes, ma'am.
Please. Yeah, please do it a bit fast. Is he coming?
Yeah, he should be coming now.
Yeah, this is the last question we'll take. Hello.
I think
Hello.
he just left, ma'am.
Okay, fine then. I think I just want to thank both of you so much, and we hope that this is not the only time, but we hope that this is just the starting, and we would like to have more of the such programs in the future as well with you. So thank you so much for sparing your time. We also want to thank all the attendees. Some of the attendees who have been, who are working in this sector. We would like to work with all of you, and so we hope that this is just the beginning of our collaborative work in our efforts for waste management. And I also want to especially thank my team, especially Masi and Lawrence. These two person had been the person behind, working on all this webinar. For us also, it's a new thing, because only because of lockdown, we also started with this program. Earlier, we have always been doing the physical kind of, trainings and awareness program, but this COVID has taught us this, and we were able to have these webinar programs on very important topics. So thank you so much, all the team members and attendees, and especially to both of you. And thanks to also Amba Jamir for introducing both of you to our program. We want to thank SDFN, IMI, Zero West Himalaya for collaborating with us. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having across. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.